Hello, everybody. It's Kevin Vonesper. I'm back on VonPod. This week's going to be a good one. But first, I wanted to talk for a moment about Dukey fly swatter. And of course, my documentary project, The Life and Slimes of Dukey fly swatter and Haunted Garage. The campaign ended last weekend and we raised over $5,000, which I would say is a big success. And I want to just take a moment to thank everybody who donated and got some cool stuff, or just even shared the link or had me on their podcast. It was like such an adventure. I did this campaign for 2 months and I was on, like, I don't know, probably about 30 podcasts, and just like meeting people from the punk rock and horror communities around the world via virtual, this kind of format right here. And it was so much fun that I decided to start my own show because, if you can't get enough promotion, just start your own and talk to cool people while telling the world, what you are up to. And today we're going to have more stories of shock rock, and we got a great guest coming up. And I want to tell you a quick story before I bring them on. Let's see. Welcome to the VonPod, episode 5. So I would like you to imagine young Kevin back in, I'm going to say 1996 or 1997. A young teenage Kevin. I had already discovered Green Jello and Guar and Haunted Garage and Buckethead and all these great things. And I was really into tape trading because back then you didn't have YouTube. The internet was very young. If you wanted to see your favorite band or hear some rare live recordings, you actually had to contact people and send them tapes in the mail and hope that they send you tapes back. And I don't remember who found who exactly, but at some point while I was trading tapes, I got in touch with a man named Bill Lindsey, who said, "Hey, if you like these bands, you probably like my band Impaler." And he sent me this VHS tape for a VHS tape. This was before DVDs, everybody. Oh, where is it? The Undead Things video. And this was my introduction to one of the pioneers of shock rock. And I saw a little bit of this.
Christianity is killing our race. Undead things, but I don't live that way. Undead things, what the darkness brings.
Wow, punk rock and horror and heavy metal, I was sold. And ever since then, for almost 30 years now, I've been a fan of Impaler. And today we have the founder of Impaler, Bill Lindsey. Let's bring him on. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Kevin?
How are you? Where are you? What's going on over there?
I'm in my monster room in Minnesota. I live in Minnesota.
Amazing.
Don't you know?
Yeah. I do know that, but I hope our audience knows that one of the pioneers of shock rock came from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's cold here in the winter. You have to entertain yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How cold does it get? I mean, colder than Buffalo, New York?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, some winters we get a week where it's like 25 below zero and like 45 or 50 below wind chill, crazy stuff like that.
Oof. How is that why you got all that like metal stuff to put on you to brave the winters?
Yeah, you got to wear layers.
And you're like, well, might as well. I already look heavy metal, right? It might as well be heavy metal.
Yeah, exactly, or frozen metal or something.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. We're kind. I guess we're distant brothers to all those Norwegian black metal bands who take pictures in the snow, and they're out in the woods in the snow, probably
Yeah.
20 below there too.
Yeah, those are the real crazy bands.
Oh, they're nutty.
Yeah. I mean, you guys look like that, but you don't sound quite like that.
No,
I
no,
think
but I
your
love some of that.
image, would give a lot of people the wrong impression of the music almost maybe, which is a little bit, I mean, it's heavy, but it's not it's a little bit more fun, I would say.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we don't take ourselves too seriously, and we want to have fun with it because a lot of the aspects of what inspire us is fun,
Yeah.
Halloween and monster movies and old Alice Cooper and Kiss and stuff like that. That was all fun.
Yeah. And you guys look like you're fun. We're gonna see some pictures and videos. Do you remember sending me this tape?
Well, we made that. God, that was in the '90s for sure. Because it
96 or
was,
something like that.
yeah, '96. That's when Undead Things came out. So that was a promotional thing. Um, we sent a lot of them out.
Yeah.
I remember I got you sent me a demo tape or something, and I still might have that around somewhere.
Oh,
Because
of my stuff?
yeah,
Oh my God.
Vonester demo.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
and
gonna
that's
be
maybe
worth something one day.
yeah, that's why I hung on to it.
Good, good. Yeah, I mean, that's how people used to hear bands. I mean, especially how you guys got around in the 80s, I'm sure, is like the tape trading community. Do you want to tell us a little bit about like what it was like back then and getting your music out there in that kind of community?
Yeah, well, I mean that was truly the golden age of demo tapes, I think, in the '80s because it was pre CD
Yeah,
and everything came out on vinyl or cassettes, basically, unless you had a reel to reel or something,
right. You couldn't really
that's your
send those around.
right. Yeah, that gets cumbersome and expensive. But yeah, so when we came up in the early '80s, um, that's what you did. You put your demo together, and we had a friend who became our road crew at the time, and he was heavily into tape trading. So he really, his name's John Stratinger, and he ended up playing in the band on Wake Up Screaming. But
Okay.
early on, he was really instrumental in the tape trading, and he was trading our tape with everybody, to all around the world, and everybody had one. Nasty Savage had Wage of Mayhem.
Hmm.
Overkill had Power in Black. Metallica had Metal Up Your Ass, and
Do you think Metallica had your tape?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Lars probably did a lot of tape trading.
Yeah, yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he's got it in his garage or something.
Yeah, and it all connects around, the first person to put out a Metallica song was of course Brian Slagel, who would later sign Haunted Garage
Yeah,
and War and all these other bands.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, everybody had a tape, and it got circulated around, and then the fanzines would pick up on that, and then and then they'd start writing about you, and then other people, then your tape would become in demand because kids would be buying the fanzines and reading the stories about the reviews of them,
Hmm.
and then they'd get in contact you and they'd want your demo tape too. So um, we did it twofold too, because we were also sending our demo tape to different labels,
Right.
because our goal was to get a record label to sign us and put out a record. So
And eventually you did.
yeah,
Right? Well, I was hoping to have it on vinyl by now, but I guess I didn't get it in time. But Rise of the Mutants, right, is your first release.
that's right. Yeah,
I mean, look at you there, hamming it up.
who's that young
No,
fella?
livering it up, maybe.
Yeah, livering it up. That's a young guy there.
Yeah,
I was one.
how old are you here?
In my
Look at
early
that right
20s.
there.
Yeah, early 20s. That's off If We Had Brains, We'd Be Dangerous. That
Oh,
was that
okay. I
picture.
skipped ahead a few years.
Yeah, that picture was taken by a photographer named Al Bolio, who was Prince's photographer in the early years of Prince, like from his first album up through like Dirty Mind, and so he did the photo shoot with us, and he took that particular picture that you had up there.
I was gonna ask this later, but since you brought it up, hold on, let me find it here in my slideshow. There it is. What is your connection to this?
Yeah, Purple Rain. Well, he's a Minnesota boy too, or he was, and so we recorded "Wake Up Screaming" at Paisley Park Studios um, back in the late '80s,
Uh-huh.
and when we were recording, they had a sound stage in there. It's a big place, it's a big facility, but they have a whole, like a little small uh, arena almost with a full stage in it, and they had uh, the Love Sexy tour put together on the stage, and they were rehearsing that to go over to Europe while we were recording.
Wow.
And so, like,
Do you
our
think
drummer
Prince was
Eric,
like heard you guys recording it all?
yeah, well, they were having a party because they were breaking down the set and going over to Europe. So they were having a party for the crew,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not there that night, but the rest,
Oh,
the guitar players were. So uh, they came in and said, "We're having a party out here, and you guys are more than welcome to come out and join us, and you know, have some food and drink." And
wow.
so, yeah, Prince was dancing with Sheila E. And like, I mean, he didn't sit down and chat with them guys or
Sure.
anything, uh, but they were invited to his party and went out and hung out for a while and drank some free beer and
And you played a lot of the same venues, right? I mean, back then, or
well, yeah,
um,
First
or at
Avenue is
least
where
yeah, that's where they filmed some of that movie, right?
exactly, yeah, and they used the entry for some of the different shots, that they if they had a backstage shot or something like that. The entry is a smaller room that's connected to First Avenue, the 7th
Gotcha.
Street entry. So,
Yeah, and you guys have been playing there for what, almost 40 years?
yeah,
Is
well,
that kind of
actually,
like your home venue?
yeah, very much so. It's our Minneapolis one. There was a place that we used to play down in St. Paul all the time. That's no longer there. And
Mm-hmm.
then Minneapolis, it was First Avenue and the entry. Um, as a matter of fact, one time we had a show. Uh, they used to do all ages matinees in the afternoon, and then they'd have danceteria in the evening. And we finished our show, and the stage crew came in and helped us break everything down and take it out because Prince was going to do a surprise
Oh,
show in there
wow.
that night.
Did you stay for that?
I didn't because my
Oh,
son
man.
was real little at the time, and so he was just a little guy. So I wanted to get home to him, and so I didn't hang around. But uh,
Did you
yeah,
ever
he
get
did
to
that.
see Prince back then?
I ended up seeing the Love Sexy tour. So I got to when they went to Europe first, and then they came back to the States. And so I saw him at a venue called the Met Center, and it was surreal to see the whole stage set up the way I'd seen it in Paisley Park, all set up
Right.
with the little red Corvette on like a roller coaster track that
Wow.
that went around the stage and down to the front for that song. And yeah,
That's
so that
cool.
was yeah, yeah. I've always followed Prince, and I love ever since Dirty Mind, I guess, was the first Prince record I bought.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it
And
must have been hard to ignore being a local
yeah,
too.
he was always on the cover of City Pages and stuff, and which was our music magazine at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Sweet Potato. So yeah, and I love Prince. Yeah, he's a genius.
So, wow, look at the original Impaler. Tell me about this fashion right here.
That's another uh
Is that from
the Albolio sessions. And
mhm.
that's actually, I'll tell you a funny story. That
Yeah.
was that was actually my vision for the Rise of the Mutants cover, was
Yeah.
doing something like that. And Mike Torak, the guitar player on the left with the colorful belt, he thought that it would be more dynamic just to have one person, easier for people to digest. And I disagreed at the time, but
Hmm.
he won out, and I ended up being on Rise of the Mutants by myself. So when we
Yeah.
did Brains, then I wanted to revisit the original idea. So we took that, and we were going to use that. And if we had Brains, and then Combat ended up
There we
editing
go.
out the woman on the bottom on the insert, because the
Oh, really?
PMRC, yeah, because the PMRC was in full swing at that time,
Oh, yeah.
and
We're
we'd
gonna talk
already
about
taken a
that.
lot of heat. Yeah, we already took a lot of heat for Rise of the Mutants, and I think Combat was a little squeamish, and so they put that picture on the inside in the insert, but they cropped Christine out of it at the bottom. She was pretty pissed off because she was pretty excited to be in a
Oh,
record, But
that's funny.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna talk about that in a little bit, but let's skip to it now. I mean, we're gonna talk about shock rock. How are we not gonna talk about the PMRC tonight, right?
right.
So there's well, first I want to show this must be your handwriting. These are some more tapes that you sent me, right? Is that your handwriting?
That looks like my scribbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of one of these tapes, I found it cut off unfortunately, but like a 15-year anniversary like public access sort of documentary about Impaler. I don't know if
Okay.
you remember this, but I pulled this little clip from it and we could
So at
talk
this
over
point
it.
in time, Tipper Gore started the PMRC with some of her cronies, called themselves the Washington Wives, and they were pretty high profile. One of the albums that they were really offended with was Impaler's Rise of the Mutants, and they took that on every talk show you could imagine. It was on Donahue, it was on Sally Jesse Raphael.
Best
They
promotion
held it
ever,
up
huh?
and they complained about it, and they showed it to all the teenagers of America, basically. And it was on countless news programs, 2020, and just about every news special program across the nation at the time, because it was such a big thing. And I just think that they were frustrated women who didn't get it. They didn't know how to have fun. And, we won in the end. Our album wasn't rated.
Wait a minute. If they're that concerned with violence and sex, are you going to rate cartoons that kids watch on Saturday mornings? Are you going to rate commercials?
Can I interrupt just to show your album cover for a second? Should this be rated?
No, that's comic books, that's horror stories and, science fiction. That's not anything that's going to warp a kid's mind,
What is that in your mouth?
Liver. That's another point I want to make, Mothers have been trying to get their kids to eat liver for years, and I'm...
And he's got jokes too.
I
Did
got
you
a million.
prepare that line or did it just come to you?
It's just one of those things that, yeah, randomly come to your mind as you're being interviewed.
Yeah. So would you say the PMRC was the best promotional tool for Impaler ever, or what? Or was it kind of a fun rivalry for you, or was it like kind of serious at the time?
It was fun for me.
Yeah.
And even as young and fresh faced as I was then, I really and I've never been like a super political person, but I really kind of saw political posturing in what they were doing. I was wondering
Sure.
how that was going to take them into elections in the future, and lo and behold, there's Al Gore and
Mhm.
Bill Clinton on MTV, rocking the vote. So yeah, so yeah, it was fun. I mean, yeah, they helped. I laughed all the way to the bank. I like to say that a lot
Yeah,
because
I mean, you're the perfect heel, and you love wrestling. This is kind of like that.
yeah, we were the heels, and and then when you look behind the the mechanics of professional wrestling, usually it's the heels that are the really good guys, and the faces, the baby faces, are kind of the pricks in real life, So
Right. There's Rise of the Mutants. That's iconic, right?
we yeah, we relished playing that role, and also there were some record evangelists that were based here in the Twin Cities called the
The
Peters
Peters
Brothers.
brothers, yeah.
and they were trying to ride on the coattails of the PMRC too, you know, to get their message across. And they were like, "Oh, hey, we can probably get some exposure through these people too." So, uh, so they were there too, and they burned our records and picketed our shows and stuff. So that was a lot of fun too. I never took any of it seriously. I really never did. Um,
I mean, can you really? I mean, no, no offense, but can you take this band seriously? Look at you. It's funny. I mean, it's fun, right?
yeah, it's meant to be fun, you know. It's for people that get that kind of stuff. It's for
Yeah.
people that love Halloween. It's for people who love um, horror movies and um, you know, and Kiss and Alice Cooper and Screaming Lord Sutch and Screaming Jay Hawkins and the
Hell yeah.
Plasmatics. The Plasmatics were huge for us, you
Yeah.
know.
I was gonna
Um,
ask, before, I mean, Impaler, I know your mantra is shock rock, simply put, but like, what was the most shocking thing that you had come across prior to Impaler?
prior to Impaler, well, I'll tell you, when I was real young, I had a friend named Scott Schlagerman, and he had older brothers that were teenagers when we were, you know, in grade school. And we were up in the room. I think we were looking for matches to light off firecrackers or something. And he pulled out this Rolling Stone, and he goes, uh, "Do you like Alice Cooper?" And I said, "Who's that?" And then he showed me this picture of Alice Cooper holding a bloody baby doll head, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That was like, uh, I was
Lightning,
shocked, but I was shocked,
like a
but I
light
couldn't
bulb.
take my eyes off it either, you know.
Yeah,
And and then lo and behold, it was "School's Out" came out shortly after that, and I immediately fell in love with that song. You know, uh,
sure.
that
It was
riff.
mastered louder than everything else on the radio at the time, right?
God, it was just so great. The riff and the guitar. I mean, it's just that was like, this is my music. This is what I want to pursue in life. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then I'm assuming you went to see him soon after that, and was that like the most shocking thing you had seen so like thus far?
yeah. I would say probably at that time it was. Um, you know, other than what was
'Cause-
on the news. I mean, Vietnam had been going on, and you see that on
Right.
TV every day when. So that, you know, that was real shock. And I guess I could differentiate between showbiz shock and real shock. But you know, some of the Hammer horror movies I would see, uh, like one of the Frankenstein ones, they like literally like take a scalpel and open up somebody's chest, and all this
Hmm.
blood comes rushing out. And I was
Ah,
just like,
yes,
oh,
that does seem like an influence you would later use on an album cover,
eh,
right?
yeah, yeah, it all comes back to you, right? Yeah. So those were the things that I was growing up with at that time, you know, in the early 70s. And yeah, so I would say that the
And
early Alice
I
Cooper,
imagine a little bit of this too, right?
well, that came later. Yeah, the
Okay.
Plasmatics, sure.
Did
Yeah.
Impaler start first, or were the Plasmatics around before you?
Oh, they were around before us.
Yeah, I thought so.
They were in the what, like 78 or
Right, right.
so, somewhere in
I
there.
I did meet one of their drummers once. That was cool. Do you remember this show? You must, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember that very well. West Beach hung around with us all afternoon during the sound checks and stuff, and so I got to talk to him a lot. He we played with a band called Halloween out
Mm.
of Detroit, and we played with them in Cleveland and hung around with them in Detroit. And Wes, uh, the one of the two guitar players in the classic Plasmatics lineup, he produced that album. So you know, we just hit it off right away. We had that connect and sat around talking. He was a really nice guy. And Wendy. I talked to her on the phone.
Right,
Uh,
yeah. When was
yeah,
that? And how was that?
that was just prior to the show.
Hmm.
Um, well, we had a good friend at Combat who took good care of us. His name was Mike Schnapp, and he left Combat and he worked for Profile Records, and that's when Wendy was on Profile with, and they did the Maggots album, and just one afternoon, I was home in my apartment, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and this voice went, "Hey, liver breath Bill." This is Wendy O. Williams. I was like, no way.
Oh, wow.
He had her call me up. He was there too, so I chatted with her, and she was just so warm and nice, and signed some stuff for me and sent it to me.
That's great.
And then I also did a little writing back and forth with Richie Stotts too, and he sent me a bunch of signed stuff, and I loved Richie. I think he was one of the greatest showmen. He's right up there with Wendy, with the show. As far as I was concerned, they were pretty equal, like Jaggers and Richards, and or Perry and Tyler,
Right.
Simmons and Stanley. So, excuse me. So, when we recorded Black Leather Monster,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
I sent him a copy, and I don't remember where I got his address. I can't remember that, but I sent him a copy,
There you
and I
go.
sent, yeah, and then Black Leather Monster was also included on the CD It Won't Die, so
Right.
I sent him those things, and then he sent me back a really nice letter and some signed 8x10s and stuff. So it was really cool because
And
they were big heroes and big influences to Impaler.
and skip to much later, but you had a conversation with Alice Cooper too, right? He called you?
Yeah, I got to talk to him because I worked at a hospital called Bethesda, and we ended up becoming the second COVID hospital and then COVID specialty hospital in the nation. And they were doing a salute to frontline workers. And so I just, I threw my hat in the ring. And the promoter called, or his producer called me, the producer of his Nighttime with Alice, and asked me a few questions. I never said a word about being an Impaler. I just said it was
Really?
this
Oh, wow.
hospital. Yeah, I never said a word about it. And
That must have taken some restraint.
no, because I
No?
didn't really want to get.
Yeah,
I wanted to be on there for the merits of
sure.
being a goody two shoes. And but then the first thing he says to me is, "How's Impaler?"
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, "What?" Other people have told me that they go to the meet and greets and people in town here, and they mention Impaler, and he says that he knows,
Oh,
he's
wow.
been aware of us. So
That's great.
that that's surreal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I met Dennis a couple times. He's I think more local to me here.
Dennis is awesome. I mean, the original Alice Cooper band, they were just so cool.
Unbeatable. And
They're
it's
so
just
cool. I
nothing
mean,
like it.
no, I mean they were like the template for everything else to come.
What's your
it-
favorite Alice Cooper record?
that's hard, isn't it?
It is
That's
hard. It's not hard for me. It's killer for me.
Killer. Yeah, I fluctuate between Killer and Billion Dollar Babies, but I mean, how can I leave out Love It to Death or Schools Out?
Yeah,
I've been
they're all
listening to
so
Schools
great.
Out a lot because it's one of the albums I can pull up on Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
And my favorite Alice Cooper song is probably Looney Tune, which is on Schools Out. So yeah, uh, and Muscle of
Yeah.
Love, I love that album
So
too.
basically all the original stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
you
Bob
know,
Ezrin years. Yeah,
yeah,
there's nothing like it. I mean, that band was just on
just
another level.
just cool as hell, and just yeah, doing things that people had never done before, or had never seen.
Hmm.
From back in the vaudeville and burlesque days. I mean, when he got his head chopped off and hung too,
Hmm.
so cool. I mean, that's rock theater.
Yeah, I got Alice Cooper blood splattered on me at one point, one Halloween. I was right
Cool.
in the front, and when they cut off his head, and they were just like, blah, it was pride for me. I mean, it's easy to get bloody at a Guar show, but at an Alice Cooper show, that's something special.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. I think I might have had gotten $1 or something off of one
Yeah,
of
I think I might have $1 too.
when or $1 billion or whatever they are. I'm getting a little dark here because I got to plug my phone in the.
Uh-oh. Well, this will be a perfect time. Let me run a little clip. I want to. So I want us to specifically. We were talking about trading tapes and stuff before,
Mm-hmm.
and I found this on a tape that. I mean, I know like you can find it on YouTube and on your DVDs and everything in a much better quality, but I wanted to show the kind of quality that you might get from a tape trade, a video that has been circulating for maybe 10, 15, 20 years, and it finally gets to you.
Uh-huh.
And it looks something like this. Pretty rough, right? I mean, when did you start sending out videotapes like this?
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right.
It's pretty rough, huh?
Well, yeah, that's probably a few generations copied, or
A few at the least.
yeah, the tape's starting to disintegrate.
Yeah,
I think,
it's incredible though. It's like there's a quality to this, that's just like
well,
when
that's what
you
people
saw
like.
this though, you're like, holy shit, what is this? And the G-generated, quality is almost like adding to its appeal in a way.
Adds to the mysterious vibe of the whole thing.
Exactly.
That was the thing with demo tapes too. Sometimes you get them and they'd be like many generations redubbed, and they'd
And
have
it's like now it's playing in the wrong speed. It's like a little faster or a little slower or who knows what.
Yeah. I remember that happening with Megadeth's first one. It was their demo tape before Killing Is My Business came out, and like Johnny Strattinger was talking about, of course he got it, and we were listening to it, and it was sped up just a little bit, and I thought, God, he sounds like Wendy O singing, because his snarly voice, was just a little bit higher pitched, and
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure like the first Bad Brains record is something like that too. And I heard I don't know if you're into the Jenna Torturers, but their first album is a little high pitched, and that's why as well. Like sometimes they just don't get the speed exactly right.
yeah, and sometimes too they used to call it cocaine ear. If a producer like did a whole bunch of coke, it does something to your ear holes, and you kind of end up with a high endy mix if they're really coked out when they're mixing it. So
Yeah. Did that happen to Impaler at all, or you speaking
no,
from experience? No.
we didn't have anybody that probably had enough money to have any cocaine. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if he was famous. I don't know. I wasn't quite around for this period, but was Bob Mould famous at the time when he was producing you? Because you did get Bob Mould to produce one of your records.
Yeah, Bob did. If We Had Brains, and that was at the time New Day Rising had just come out. So we actually went to the show for that while he was producing. They played a show at First Avenue.
Oh,
so
nice.
we went to the show. Yeah. And we got involved with Husker Du. I knew Grant Hart from when we were kids in grade school, because we went to this church camp about 2 summers in a row, and we became friends because we both liked the Marx Brothers a lot, and we do imitation of Groucho Marx and drop quotes from the movies and stuff, and so it turned out his mom worked at an office that was really close to my house, so he went to work with her a couple times, and we rode bikes down to my neighborhood, and he ate lunch at my house, and we chased the neighborhood girls around and acted goofy, and so we lost touch with each other and grew apart, and then when music came into both of our lives, then I ran into him at the record stores and concerts and stuff, and so I got to hear an early Husker Du rehearsal tape, because they were rehearsing in the basement of a record shop, and he took me down there and was playing the tape for me, and it's like, wow, that's really cool. That's fast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Land Speed Record, that was their first album. So probably songs on that demo tape that ended up on Land Speed Record.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when Impaler played our first show, so we weren't interested in playing in the cover band circuit.
Right.
So we went to the punk clubs and we brought our demo tape. And so there's this place called Goofy's Upper Deck, and the guys running the place, Fred and Drew, they loved our demo tape, and so they booked us 3 times that summer, and the Huskers came down to the shows and saw us.
Is
And
that I don't know how early footage this is some early footage I wanted to show. Is this from one of those shows? I mean, this is some pretty early on stuff, right?
that's pretty close. I think that was the following winter. We played with them in September. This was at
Uh-huh.
a place called Pillar and Post.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one of those dark kind of what's going on kind of videos that.
Yeah. Well, this at least I didn't get this on tape. I got this from your DVD, so the quality's a little bit better from the source, but I
Yeah, that.
mean, you must have gotten some strange looks back then. Like, people were not used to this kind of thing in a punk club.
No, we were very different, but they embraced us for that too, I think, because
Sure.
it was like at those shows, it was like so punks would come and metal people would come, and what they called Bat Cave people back then. It was before
Yeah,
God was a
the
term.
death rock.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
there was Specimens had Bat Cave over in England, and so
Yeah.
here they were called Bat Cave people, and it was just a really cool mixture, and everybody got along and had a great time, and um, there was never really that huge rivalry with punk and metal here. Like, I have friends from Wisconsin. They said they used to constantly fight each
Right.
other, and here it was way more accepting of each other's genre, and they mixed them together because I mean, punks loved Venom and Motorhead,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that
and
was like
metal,
the crossover years.
yeah, and then metal people loved DRI and Fear and stuff like that.
Dead
Dead
Kennedys, probably.
Kennedys,
Yeah. Yeah.
hell yeah,
And who doesn't like the Ramones, right?
I love them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I have a question. So here's, we've seen what the original Impaler looks like. Do you think Carnivore ripped you off?
Carnivore. Oh, Peter Steele.
Yeah,
That guy's a god in himself.
of
No,
course. Or do you
no.
think, like a lot of these bands that I'm discovering, it's just kind of like people had the same sort of ideas,
I think
around the same
Manowar. I
time? It
think
was just like a collective consciousness kind of thing.
I think Manowar ripped off Carnivore
Oh yeah,
with the
yeah,
furs and
maybe.
stuff. Because well,
Oops.
okay, so one of the biggest, coolest movies at the time was Road Warrior,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Sure.
all that fashion in Road Warrior, with mohawks and um, football gear with spikes jammed through it and stuff. It was so cool.
Hmm.
It was just like, oh yeah, yeah, I'd like to dress like that. But if you put up Rise of the Mutants, I can break down every influence of my look on that album alone, because it's like, if do you have it there still?
Yes.
So yeah, okay, so the dyed stripe in my hair, Paul Stanley, Joe Perry, and Keith Richards all had this dyed patch in their hair back then. And so that I said, those people are fucking cool. I want a dye patch in my hair. So I got that. The that's hockey gear, all painted with studs and nails through it. That's Gene Simmons armor uh from the Destroyer era.
Hmm.
And then the silver gauntlets, that's Ace Frehley. And then the bloody white is Alice Cooper, Billion Dollar Babies, the long johns he used to
Hmm.
wear all the
Hmm.
time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and then the meat in the mouth, that is taken from Night of the Living Dead, from the scene where the kids are trying to get the gas pump open, and the
Hmm.
uh, zombies attack them, and they drop the gas, and everything starts on fire. And there's scenes where the zombies are pulling out entrails and eating them. And when I saw that in Night of the Living Dead, I was like, my God, if I could do that on stage. So I did.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of synchronicity, I have to address something for my Haunted Garage audience. There's one of the things that we say in the trailer, or somebody mentions in the trailer, is how they would, rip the guts out of people and throw it into the audience, and you actually did that first.
Well, we did. We're just.
So I got to give
we're
credit where
just older
credit's
guys.
due. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't think that they ripped you off or anything, but I think it was just a similar idea at a similar time, and I just wanted to say, but credit where credit's due, you guys did it first.
Well, yeah, like people say, oh, you're kind of like Gwar, and it's like, no, we did this
Yeah,
before Gwar.
Gwar actually started technically in 1984 in its infancy, so you predate them by a year.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we're all influenced by the same kind of things,
Yeah.
all those movies. Of course, Dukey's a huge, B-movie fanatic actor, director. So,
well, let me get into that in a second. I just want to let me show a little bit of the original. And yeah, what's going on here?
Well, that's our very first video that we ever cut. And there's the interesting story behind this too. So the kid, I worked at a nursing home, and I worked with this fellow whose cousin was worked at Cable Access and was interested in getting into movie making and stuff. And he said he'd really like to have you guys in the studio and shoot a video. And we were like, yeah, we'd love to do that. So we went to this Cable Access studio in Roseville, Minnesota, and we made this video there. He went on to work on. He went to Hollywood and he worked on Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and some other shows. After
my mom loved that show.
Yeah, there's the gut, the beef liver.
I never asked Dukey, but I wonder if he had seen this, or, well, let's I think that's a perfect time to show everyone the trailer. What do you think? It's time to promote myself a little bit. Here's the trailer for The Life and Slimes of Dukey Flyswatter.
To be discussion about the importance of danger, chaos, the possibility of something happening that really wasn't on the schedule.
Mr. Dukey Flyswatter and
The Haunted Garage!
If you took 80s slasher movies and put it in a blender with metal and punk rock, you're gonna get Haunted Garage.
Dukey and his crew were almost like making horror movies, horror punk.
But the gag is, you're in the splash zone.
It is splatter rock. It is chainsaw rock and roll.
Not only chainsaw them, but would pull the guts out and spread them all over the place.
It's like going to a horror movie, except it's actually happening.
There was this real fervor at the time about shock rock, how bad it was for the kids.
The shock value was exactly what I wanted.
I look over and I see Dukey with his arms on fire.
The flashes from the rear end.
He got brain surgery live on stage.
Whenever you find something weird, we'll give a use for it.
It's not an act that we put on to go on stage.
We were real.
There was some shit being exercised right there.
That was the raw stuff.
You walk out of there feeling like you've maybe left the planet for a little while.
Their legacy is they were unique.
They did things that weren't being done, and they did things that were outside of people's comfort zones.
Dukey was always just ahead of his time on that.
But it really rocked hard. I mean, he had really good musicians in the band.
We didn't want it to be only this deep. We wanted it to be this deep.
It's Haunted Garage. That's the whole point of taking things too far.
They just were doing it to have a good time and make you laugh.
It was always fucking fun.
Actually, we're a lot more stable than I think Bill Cosby.
I don't know how to explain it. It exploded.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons.
Tom Waits was there.
We blind Axl Rose.
When you're sitting between Dukey and Elvira, It doesn't get any cooler than that.
There were lines around the block to see Haunted Garage. They were the it band at the time.
Those guys were gods to who they were gods to.
He's an icon of the underground exploitational genre.
Punk rock god of Hollywood.
Bela Lugosi's horrible punk rock grandson.
G.G. Allen, but fun.
He's like a friendly vampire.
He was LA's Peter Lorre.
You need somebody in a movie, that's the guy that you want.
Roger Ebert said it's the worst movie he's ever seen. Cold Steel, Sharon Stone? Who knew? He had a great writing career.
He puts everything he's got into it. He made his whole life his art.
I think that the whole world should know about it.
Now I'm gonna cry.
Slam, 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 slam.
Wait a minute, you're gonna get this.
Oh, thank you.
Really looks great.
Thank you. What is your connection to Haunted Garage, or when does the first time you ever heard about them?
Well, the very first time I heard about Haunted Garage, I read about them because I would go to, we had a newsstand here called Shinder's Brothers, and I was paging through a Maximum Rock and Roll, and they had a review of a Haunted Garage show, and I read all about it, and I was like, well, my God, that's right up my alley. That's in my wheelhouse. So
around what time was, when was this, about in the 80s?
What year did Possession Park come out?
1991.
91.
Possession Park.
Because I went and found it after I read that article, so it must have been around 91, but it was definitely in Maximum Rock and Roll.
Sure, yeah. Did you ever get to see them or meet Dukey? Never?
No, I never did. I've corresponded with him a couple times on like MySpace and Facebook, over the years.
I invited him to MySpace.
Did ya?
Yeah. Can you believe that? By the way, your Facebook still links to a MySpace account for Impaler. You might want to update that.
Yeah. I think for a while there was a whole bunch of our music that you could listen to.
Yeah, but that is long gone.
Before it became a ghost town. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll have to make sure we get rid of that.
Do you have any favorite Dukey Fly Swatter movies, or?
I never really. I don't know that I've seen any of them, to tell you the truth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, here's a couple classics.
What do you recommend?
Yeah, here's what I would recommend. This one people love. He wrote Blood Diner. You ever seen Blood Diner?
Mm-mm.
It's absurd. It's crazy. I don't even. Yeah, check it out. And then, of course, if you like the 80s Scream Queen era, I would recommend these. Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama is sort of one that people talk about a lot. And then a few days later, most of the same cast and crew created Nightmare Sisters. That's the big three: Michelle Bauer, Brink Stevens, Linnea Quigley, and a whole soundtrack by Haunted Garage on this one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they did 4 songs. This was like 1987, so years before Possession Park.
Okay.
And then my last recommend would be this one actually holds up pretty well. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. You ever heard of this one?
Hear about the most.
Yeah, and that's of course Gunnar Hansen, the original Leatherface, is in this one.
Sweet.
And yeah, I think you'd love them. I know you love horror movies. I'm sure you love B horror movies too.
I do.
You have any favorite like cult cinema movies?
Invasion of the Saucer Men.
They wrote a song about that. Dukey has a tattoo of that on his arm.
Well, you have your picture for your podcast. You
right,
Saucer Man. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's one of their props. So that was based straight out of that movie.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I lean towards older movies as my go-to and my favorites. The Old Dark House. But that I wouldn't call that a B movie because that was James Whale. Yeah, Monster on Campus. That's one of my very favorites.
I don't know that one.
Check
it out.
Yeah, yeah. Scientist pricks his finger on one of those what's that dinosaur fish that they found back in the 30s? I can't pronounce it.
I
I'll
don't
figure it
know.
out. Anyway, yeah, it, he pricks his finger on this dinosaur fish and gets some of the juice in his system and reverts into a caveman. This creature that,
Okay,
yeah, runs
I'll check that
rampant.
out.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Monster on Campus. Yeah.
I got a question. How did this beautiful album cover become this?
Money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have one of your cassettes here too.
Oh, for Wake Up Screaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the photo session, and Andy Tortolone did that the airbrushing art on that, and
And
he
this is a beautiful cover. I'd love to see this on a vinyl one day.
yeah. There's a Chinese label that put out a thing by us called Chronicles of Terror,
Yeah, yeah.
and they put that original cover in there.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, maybe someday if Wake Up Screaming gets pressed on vinyl. I still have
Yeah.
the artwork. I have the
Oh,
artwork.
good. I was gonna ask who has that. You do?
I do. Yeah, I'm the archivist, so
Okay, good.
he
Let's
did a
see.
beautiful job with that, though. Yeah, he is a
Yeah,
great.
people need to see that. And I think that's of the early Impaler albums, I think Wake Up Screaming is like a weird little masterpiece.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a good term for it.
Yeah, it's weird. Do you have any memory? Like what was the band trajectory at that point, you know? Like do you feel like you had advanced from your earlier days and you were kind of becoming something else, or
Well, it was
that's
that's the one that was recorded at Paisley Park, by the way. Wake
gotcha.
Up Screaming. So, there was a little lag in there where I'll be honest with you, we got lazy and we just kind of like our props broke and stuff, and we started to use less of it. And then
Yeah.
uh, as the recording of Wake Up Screaming came about, I just thought that we can't let that slide like that. We got to quit being lazy. And so
Yeah, what happened to the shoulder pads here?
I got a different outfit there. It's
Yeah. I do like the chain microphone though.
Yeah, my brother's a welder, so he whipped that together for me.
Oh, that's great.
Now it's wrapped in barbed wire and a bunch of bloody rags and stuff.
You gonna bring all that stuff to New York?
I don't think they'll let me bring that on the plane.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We'll bring a bunch of stuff. Everything that we can jam in suitcases, we're gonna bring with us. So, so when Wake Up Screaming, by the time it was released, we were back to this. This is a track off Wake Up Screaming.
Yeah.
So we made a conscious effort to not be lazy and try and get back to what we were, known for and frankly best at.
Yeah. And then you kind of took a break for a while after this?
Yeah. There was a little break. I did a band called Daddy Raw.
Yeah, I have that. What's going on here? And when are we going to get the reissue of Daddy Raw?
That needs to be like pressed up on vinyl.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's Commander Cord on the left and myself. And then
he's back in the band now, right?
Yeah, he's an Impaler. Yep. John Strattinger, who was the guitar player. He's the guy that did all the tape trading early on, and he became our guitar player for Wake Up Screaming era.
Okay.
And Chris Ballas on drums. And a guy
You're just kind of like rebranding yourself here, sort of?
No, not at all. It was
No.
kind of like just wanted to do like a Stooges worship kind of Ramones and Stooges and kind of strip things down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a cleansing in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's really straightforward. Not that Impaler isn't. Impaler's pretty straightforward, but it was just even more so. And really, really focused on the different influences like the Stooges and the Dead Boys and the MC5 and the Ramones and that stuff.
Dukey did a Dead Boys tribute band once called Moronic Reducer. Yeah, with Johnny Angel, and there's some fun stories about that. And then you came back with this, right?
Yep. Then
this is the comeback record.
Yep. Undead Things.
What made you want to come back? And you've been pretty consistent since then. This is the mid '90s. This is when
Yeah.
I discovered Impaler.
Oh yeah. Well, we did a demo tape right before that Sonic Freak show that had some of the songs that ended up being on Undead Things, and we were giving that away free at shows just to get our footing back, get people familiar with the band again, and new people that had never even seen us or heard of us before. And so we did a couple of reunion shows with the original lineup, and at that point no one else wanted to be involved. Mike Torok's kind of taste in music had changed. He wanted to pursue some different things. Court had 2 really young kids at the time and was going to go to school. And so there was a hardcore band called Iron Fist that we played shows with. And I talked to those guys and I told them that I wanted to, relaunch Impaler, and would they like to be Impaler? And they said, let me think about it for a minute. Okay.
Yeah, right.
And then we were really proficient. I mean, we got to business like right away.
Oh yeah.
And started writing new songs and doing shows again. And so we recorded the demo tape right away, and we were giving that away. And then it just.
I got 2 versions of this one.
Oh, nice.
I think the original and then the reissue,
That's
right?
The reissue, yeah.
It looks a little bit better.
Yeah, the Old Cemetery Records in Rhode Island reissued that. He also just recently reissued The Gruesome Years.
Oh yeah? Is there anything extra on that one?
Yeah, it's got the demo tape, the demos for If We Had Brains, which wasn't on.
Oh really? Okay, yeah, because this one I have has the demo for Wake Up Screaming.
That's the Root of All Evil release.
Right.
And that's out of print.
Yeah.
So now it's called Mutant Brains, but it's the Rise of the Mutants cover.
Gotcha. I have a hole in my collection. Uh-oh.
Well, we'll have some in New York. So.
Oh, great. That's great. Okay, I'll get one there. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this. So I gotta say, I used to work at Best Buy, not back in '96, but in maybe 2006. And I can't imagine them carrying Impaler at all in the first place. So what is this all about?
Yeah, they so a distributor, their name escapes me. Oh, Orphan picked it up to distribute it, and they had a deal with Best Buy. Also, our 20 Years Undead DVD was sold at Best Buy too.
Huh.
I got some returns that still have the Best Buy.
20 Years Undead.
That one, yeah. So they carried both of those things, but at first they kind of like put up a stink about it. Somebody in the corporate office or something said.
I mean, it is pretty gruesome. I couldn't imagine that being a band that they would ever carry to begin with. So that just makes me laugh.
Yeah, we just I don't know. We're just kind of kind of hapless fools that kind of just fall into these things that happen.
Yeah, more free publicity, right?
Yeah, because we kind of came full circle because it wasn't the PMRC, but it was this big corporation, Best Buy, who's really big.
Yeah,
they're based here in the Twin Cities. But when word got out that they were gonna ban the CD cover, then the press got all fired up about it. So we got all kinds of press about that, and they ended up putting it out. I think we got a sticker that says "warning" or something that went on.
Oh really? Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, that went over the incision in my chest.
Oh really? That's funny. Yeah, that must be a collector's item. So I wanted to show. While I was working at Best Buy, we had a celebrity come by to do a signing, and I got probably the worst picture ever with this gentleman, Ric Flair.
Woo!
Yeah, he didn't even do that. He was so unenthused, but I get it. But I just thought this is a terrible picture of me and a terrible picture of him drinking his coffee. And that's on my break that day, I think, working at Best Buy.
Well,
hilarious.
I've been a wrestling enthusiast ever since I was little, watching it with my grandpa. So we used to go to a lot of the house shows here, and we actually got waved away by Ric Flair because we were standing towards the back. We saw them at the back of the arena. They were
Oh.
like in this like this walkway, and I think it was him and Arn Anderson and maybe Tully Blanchard. They were all standing together, and I go, "Look, there's Nature Boy!" So we started running towards him, and he puts his hand up and he just goes like this.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean,
I,
he's playing the heel to the hilt, you know.
I saw a match once, must have been in the early 90s, that they definitely never put on TV, Ric Flair versus Macho Man, and it was just terrible. They couldn't even air it. I don't even know what they were doing. But I don't know, that just made me laugh. What do you remember about this? I know you're an old school wrestling fan. Do you have any memories of My Breakfast with Blassie?
Is that Andy Kaufman?
Yeah, with Andy Kaufman.
Oh, yeah, Pencil Neck Geek.
Yeah.
I remember the feud with Andy Kaufman and King Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, and that's why he has the neck brace in this. Yeah,
'Cause
this
King
was just like, I don't know what kind of cinema you would call it, proto reality TV, I suppose, where they're just sitting in a restaurant having breakfast, you know, and supposedly it's just as is. Of course, it's not, but you know,
Yeah.
half improvised, I'm sure. But the reason I bring that up is here. Let me bring up this little clip. If you have the VHS or the DVD of it, they show footage from the premiere in 1984, I believe, and there's a masked man doing interviews, and one of them, you know, one of the people he interviews is Andy Kaufman, and I want to show it, and I know I've showed it on this show before, but for you wrestling fans.
Mr. Kaufman, Andy Kaufman, star of My Breakfast with Blassie, and one of the stars of the soon-coming to TV series Taxi Driver. Andy Kaufman. Andy, are there any words you wish to say? Just thank you very much. It's a wonderful event. I'm glad.
Surprise! It's Dukey Fly Swatter.
I just want to say thank you very much to everybody who came. I'm glad the people like the movie. I love you, Mr. Kaufman. It's a classic.
And I believe that was his last public appearance before he died.
Oh, I
So
didn't know he was rocking the mohawk.
yeah, that's why Dukey said, the soon-to-be released TV series Taxi Driver.
Nice.
Oops. So I know you said you'd give me an hour. We've done an hour. Can you stay a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Or you gotta. I hope you're having some fun. I got some more slides. Let's see what I got here. Oh, there's you behind the scenes from Undead Things. See, he's okay. It's all good.
You know what? A funny story about that too is so I worked at a hospital, and we had an old building that was connected with a tunnel that wasn't used anymore. It was just used for storage, and it had been a nursing dormitory back in the in the 70s. And downstairs they had a morgue, so we were in an actual morgue taking those pictures. And it
Creepy.
was Christmas time, and it was a really cold day in February, December. It was right before Christmas, and so I was laying on that metal table. There was no heat in this building because it was not being used for patients or anything. It was just storage, and so we're in this morgue, and it's freezing cold, and we had Christmas carols playing on a boombox while we were snapping pictures for the cover. So it was kind of a Tim Burton-ish moment.
Wow.
Definitely.
Let me skip to this question now. Then, what is your fascination with Christmas? Because you guys love your Christmas.
Yeah. Well, Krampus, we do a Merry Krampus show every year, and like when I was telling you earlier in the, when we first started talking, it gets cold here in the winter time, and you have to entertain yourself. So what we started doing, we were doing a thing called Frost Fest, and we tried to do it, in the middle of the winter when there was not much going on. And as I became more and more aware of this character called Krampus, we it metamorphosized into the Merry Krampus show, and we do it every December.
I had the 7-inch somewhere. I don't know where it went. But just pretend I'm holding up the Krampus 7-inch.
Yeah, and so it's just an event, an annual event that we do now every year, and it's a lot of fun. And we've sent out a Christmas card like to everybody that in the industry that we deal.
Oh,
and so we
I
make.
have one.
Do you got? You have one?
An old
Oh,
one,
you
I
got
think.
everything.
I don't know what year this is, but it must be
I'd say that was in the 90s, probably, or maybe the early.
2004. It
Oh,
says.
was it that late? Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, collector's edition. You still send things out like that, or snail mail kind of dead?
No, we still do it every year.
Oh shit! I got to get back on your mailing list.
Well, you just had the one from last year, this past year, the one where it's at the kitchen table, kind of the.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I just found that on your page though. I don't actually have one.
Oh well, if I find an extra one laying around here,
Okay, bring it to New York.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that because sometimes there's some left over at the end. Some years there are.
Oops. This might be my favorite Impaler record.
Is that right? One Nation?
Yeah, this one's, I don't know, something about it. Like the quality is just incredible. What do you remember about this album? This feels like the revival band, but like getting very comfortable with themselves.
Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, we were real proficient, and so like we had Earl Root at Root of All Evil Records, and he was a huge supporter and really did everything in his power to get us out there. So we were recording an album like almost every 2 years for a stretch there, and so I think we were in a groove where it was just
cranking out the tunes.
They were just rolling out of us, and so so that was the first album with drummer Tom Croxton.
Yes, I love how fast his feet are.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God, he's got some fast feet.
Yeah, he's a great drummer, and
that could be it. I always thought that like he was an incredible drummer, and maybe that's part of why I love this album so much.
Yeah, it definitely showcases his skills on there, and then it has fun stuff like Cage Match Tragedy, which is an ode to wrestling. We did a video for I Walk Again, which is the opening track on there.
Oh, I might have that here. Let's see.
It's on one of the DVDs for sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's on House Band at the Funeral Parlor or the 20 Years Undead. It's on one of those two. And so that was a fun time. And we were
I don't think I clipped that one out, but
we were coming
it's a good one.
We were coming to Jersey and doing March Metal Meltdowns around that time.
Oh, I actually, so this is, speaking of tape trading, I believe I found a video of Impaler that you didn't have. And it was
there used to be discussion
Oops, that's
about
not it. That's the trailer. Is it this one? Nope, not that one.
Oh, that's
what
no, that's Meatwagon.
Yeah, that's Meatwagon. That was from It Won't Die, right before that album, right?
Yep.
This is, I know I skipped an album. It Won't Die. It's like between Undead Things and One Nation Underground.
That's right. Yep, and that was the first album that Brad Johnson joined us.
Gotcha.
As guitar player.
Oh, right. I know why I wanted to show this clip. See, I have another fascination with the Phantom of the Opera, and I wanted to ask you what your favorite version of Phantom of the Opera is.
Oh, the Lon Chaney Senior one for sure.
I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a classic. I'm gonna be starting a YouTube show about Phantom at some point soon, so watch out for that, everybody.
About Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah.
about the history of it and all the
I don't know, just like how weird, like, you know, the weirder it gets, the more I'm into it. And like, oh boy, there's some weird phantoms out there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Well, Phantom of the Paradise is
Yeah,
spin
exactly.
off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. Nope, that's not it. Maybe I didn't load it up. Hold on. I found a video of you guys playing in New Jersey from the late 90s. Or I think it might have been one of those metal fests.
Yeah, they were so
And I think
cool.
I found a bootleg of it and I sent it to you. I don't think you had it. I think, if I remember the story correctly.
Yeah,
It's not a very good quality, but you can see a little bit of it. Do you remember where this was in New Jersey?
Yeah, that's at the Asbury Convention Center in Asbury Park, New Jersey, right in the ocean. It was
Gotcha.
after we were done playing, Spin Magazine was running around there, and they ended up doing a little piece with me and Eric, the bass
Nice.
player. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
of
mean, there's
course,
only a few songs on the tape, but there could have been a short set. I'm not sure.
I threw the guts out into the audience. Somebody grabbed it and ran out into the merch area and jumped up on a table with the meat in their mouth, throwing their head around. Everybody had to come and tell me about that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, those were fun. It was so wrestling. They had wrestling at these shows, and then metal bands for 2 days in a row.
Perfect.
So
Speaking of Christmas, this must have been a fun show. I found this flyer on your Facebook.
that was really fun. Yeah, that uh, that was a huge venue called the Myth, and that was Twisted Sister when they the year they put out that Christmas.
Yeah, because
Twisted
man, if
Christmas.
there's a metalhead who loves Christmas, it's Dee Snider.
Yeah, so
So that's a perfect pairing.
it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, and Dee was really cool. He name checked us and gave us props,
Oh,
and
great.
yeah, and it was the only, believe it or not, it was the only time I've seen Twisted Sister. So that was really
I never got to see them, unfortunately. I know my friend Militia did some stuff with him. I think she was in his like Vegas vampire musical show thing. I don't remember what that
Oh
was
yeah,
called, but she was in that.
Van Helsing's Curse.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
This is the first time I saw Impaler, the first time I actually met you in 2012. St. Vitus. St. Vitus is still there, by the way.
I love that club. That is such a cool place.
And there's another terrible picture of me.
No, that's a good picture of you. That's
Yeah,
a terrible one of me.
Well, we'll get a better one in about a week. See, I never brought my professional gear out, but here's a couple like somewhat decent shots of the show. I love that one for some reason. It's just how metal are these shoes?
Yeah. Kyle's boots. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't even remember seeing Impaler a second time, but apparently I saw Impaler a second time about a year later. You came back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's some pictures of that.
We did like 3 tours in 4 years and going out east. So then after this show, we played at a place called Lucky 13.
Oh wow, you played there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that place. I was just there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's still there as well.
Do they still have the pole dancers in the front?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know most of the girls on the bar.
Yeah.
They're like friends of mine.
They let me blow fire in there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I blew fire in Lucky 13 at that show. So that's always a good day when I get to blow some fire.
I was once in a fire breathing band, and that was the Rosemary's Billy Goat.
Which I love.
I bet you do.
Yeah. I love them. He's such a creative guy too, you know.
I mean, I lived on a tour bus with him for 3 months.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. And
so I got it. Of course, then I have to bring up Green Jelly.
Sure. Yeah, we played with them once or twice for sure, I think.
Did you ever come across them in their original, like in the 90s? Or I mean, I'm sure you were aware of them.
Oh yeah. Well, of course, yeah, because the Three Little Pigs was on MTV all the time on Headbangers Ball, and
it all goes back to Serial Killer.
Killers.
And actually, this is I didn't know it at the time, but the first time I ever saw Dukey Fly Swatter was in the Misadventures of Shitman video right here,
Oh yeah,
right
yeah.
alongside Three Little Pigs.
I have that. I still have that
Yep,
videotape.
Dukey is in there. He turns into Shitman along with Danny Carey, who's in. I don't think he did anything with his life. He's in some band called Tool, who used to open for Haunted Garage.
Oh, Tool did really? Wow.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Very cool.
And then, do you know Mens Rea had Corey Smoot from Guar in it?
Is that right?
Who passed away about 10 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, so you played with a member of Guar here too.
Well, and then we've played with Mobile Death Camp and
Right. Yeah. That's what's his name?
Todd
Evans, yes.
Yeah, he was Beefcake, the second Beefcake.
So I guess this is the next time you played with them, right?
Yes.
So do you remember, did you meet Bill? Like, what did you think of Green Jelly? I actually played on this tour when he did the Jet Set tour. This was when he started his franchise bands, and he just had a band waiting in every, pocket of the US and beyond.
He was
so
doing
I
the
was
G. Allen thing.
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Well, when he didn't have the Murder Junkies, yeah, he'd just
have a band in every city.
Yeah, we had a band here called the fucking Shit Biscuits, and he had them as his backup band when he played in Minneapolis. And Chuck Berry did that too. He'd just travel around and have pickup bands. Yeah. Yeah. So that first flyer that you showed, that was the first time I met Bill, and he was out in the alley taping up the puppets, damage control. And I was like, that looks familiar. I don't have to do it to that extent, like you do. But yeah, you always have to, especially when you're traveling.
He can whip up a new pig in about 20 minutes, no problem.
Yeah,
I've seen him do it.
He's a very creative guy too. I love all those guys that have such creativity, about what they do, and it inspires me too, because it's fun.
If you're ever planning on going to LA, I would recommend playing his show. He does a live show every Saturday on YouTube for the past almost 2 years. He just turned his living room into like a full production studio with multicam and soundboard audio, and it's kind of this chaotic thing, but it's a well-produced chaotic thing.
Well, then
and that's where we
had
we had Haunted Garage do their last show there while I was in town. And it was the same day they had double booked it with the Dwarves.
Oh, really?
The Dwarves and Haunted Garage in Bill's living room. Like, it's just, that's crazy. You can't make this shit up.
We played with the Dwarves a couple times too.
Yeah?
Yeah, love them too.
Yeah, Blaga, he's been very nice to me every time I've met him. He was actually the first interview I did for the documentary because I saw he was coming to New York, so I caught him while he was here.
Nice. He actually sent us a thank you when we played with them, like the next day.
Wow.
I get a thank you for doing the show with us. It was a lot of fun, and usually,
what year was this about?
What?
Were they playing full shows at the time, or were they cutting it off 3 songs in and starting fights?
No, they played pretty much a full show.
Okay. At a certain point they became like a professional band.
Well, yeah, he who cannot be named was not with them.
Yeah, he comes in and out.
Yeah. But, man, what a special effect in that guy,
Yeah.
He's a walking, breathing special effect.
Yeah, I think I saw them live with him once, but it's like hit or miss. You don't know who's going to be in the band. And, usually now Nick Oliveri is their bass player. He's from Queens of the Stone Age and all that stuff.
Caius, yeah.
And, and Caius. And when they were playing at Bill's house, he wasn't there. And I was almost a little disappointed until I realized that the bass player they did have was their original bass player who actually wrote all those songs. So I was like, this is even better.
Nice.
It was incredible.
Nice. What did he call himself?
I don't think. Oh man, that's a good question.
Had some funny names.
Yeah,
I'd have to pull out.
I'd have to pull it up. Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, that would be an experience.
That was fun. Cool. Yeah. So is this more or less like the current lineup over here?
Yep. Yep, that's our current promo.
That is quite a crew right there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
who is in the band now? Because I love that, like, since Impaler came back, it is slowly kind of, well, first of all, I wanted to mention that Undead Things I would consider more of a like a punk album. Is there
Uh-huh.
like a legit like a was there like a conscious effort to do that, or was it just kind of naturally happened that way?
I think it naturally happened. Like I said, Iron Fist was a hardcore band,
Yeah,
and so we mixed influences. You know, when you're working with people, you find all your common ground and you start writing. And
right.
so, yeah. And Nikki was a really strong, and Eric, they were both really strong songwriters and came up with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
so
think
I don't know that
Dying
we
to
made a
Meet You is like
conscious.
a perfect horror punk song.
What's that?
Dying to Meet You is like a perfect
Oh,
horror punk song.
oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. That I like that song. It's fun. And believe it or not, there was a tribute album that was
I
put
heard
out.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Heavy Demons from Switzerland covered Dying to Meet You, and they just do like an
Oh.
amazing job. I was just like, well, first of all, I was flabbergasted that there was a tribute that would be put out for us, but just
Mhm.
to hear the different interpretations of our songs and stuff, and they did a great job on Dying to Meet You.
Great. Yeah, I think I heard that once, but I gotta seek it out. Is it on Spotify? Maybe.
Might be. Yeah, it's on. I know it's on iTunes for sure.
Yeah. And I wanted to highlight, like, this is your son, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He, I mean, usually you'd think that kids think what their parents do is stupid, but he seems to be fully embraced in it.
Well, he's been around it since he was little. He was in some
Yeah.
of our early promo. Um, he had like he had a Jason hockey mask and like
Mhm.
a Reaper robe and a big plastic machete. And like he would if it wasn't a school night, he'd come to the show and help us, and like he would hand the props out or help, put
Mhm.
props together. And sometimes he knew more about what was supposed to be happening on stage than some of the guys that were on stage,
Sure.
you know. And he was just a little guy, so, and he's always uh, we've just over the years, he's like my
He's still
buddy.
doing it.
We go to wrestling matches
Yeah.
together and go to concerts together and do Impaler together, and so it's been great.
Did he ever live in Texas?
No, I did, but
Oh, you did.
yeah.
'Cause I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I was on tour with Green Jelly, I met him. He was at one of the shows.
Well,
And I
maybe.
could have swore it was in Texas somewhere, but I could be wrong.
Well, he'll drive to Chicago and
Hmm.
Milwaukee and Madison and stuff to see shows, so
Yeah.
he might have maybe it was somewhere like
You
that.
weren't there though, and it was just crazy meeting him there. And we like hung out for a little bit, had a beer or something,
Is that right?
Yeah. And he
That's
was like, "Oh, I think you know, had you known about the tour because we had a lot of bum promoters, you're gonna be mad that you missed Green Jelly." This was like in 2008.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah. I
I
would.
mean, you probably just didn't even know we were on tour when we came around.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't know. And now that you talk about it, it sounds vaguely familiar that he went. I'm sure you must have. He probably went to Iowa,
Hmm.
Milwaukee, or Chicago.
Maybe.
He'll get in his car and drive, which I would have done too back in the day. Had like I know
Yeah.
AC/DC was playing
Right.
in Iowa, I would have gotten my Volkswagen Super Beetle and driven there to see Bon Scott. But back then there was no internet or no, you had to buy like a Circus or Cream magazine and maybe
Sure.
hopefully get like the current tour dates, or sometimes it'd be printed and they
Yeah.
were there a
We were
month
just
ago.
on MySpace or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it was very DIY sort of tour. Although we
Yeah.
were in
Well,
a
we've
tour
done
bus,
those.
and now I'm spoiled.
We've done a lot of those too. A lot of those by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You just
So,
gotta get out there and do it,
all right, I'll start sticking the landing here. I thought this was cool. You guys played with Doyle, and I also played with Doyle, I believe, on this tour in my in a horror punk band that I was in.
What was it?
It was called Skeletal Life, and let me see if I can pull up a clip real quick. I didn't write any of these songs, but I had a lot of fun playing them. And Doyle's back line of amps, his prop amps or whatever, it was like a great. It looked great for
It's all
us.
the Crimson Skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the front of every amp.
Let's see, is this working?
Go.
That's me.
Nice. Look at you, Kevin.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
That's better quality than some of our stuff that you showed there earlier.
Yeah, see, this is what happens when you become a video professional, but you're also on stage. You make sure you record every show,
Nice.
That's a
Yeah.
little sample of my old horror punk band, Skeletal Life. See, let me bring my little Zoom recorder and plug into the board next week for you guys. Put me in touch with the sound guy or whatever if you can.
I'll put you in touch with the promoter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm all about it. I think that would
Yeah,
be great.
totally. And because this show is a little special, right? Wait, let me pull up the flyer. It's coming up here somewhere. Oh yeah. I had to pull up this one. Of course.
Yeah.
We won't reveal who that is, but that's Ronald what does he call himself?
Osborne.
Ronald Osborne, that's right.
Yeah.
And
that was
yes.
that's one of my top shows of all time. If somebody ever
Really?
asked me to name your three, yeah, it was McSabbath, Galactic Empire, and Impaler, and it was just the perfect night of just fun.
Yeah, I saw them when they came to Brooklyn once. And yeah, I know they've been pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all the creativity that he puts into it, and just the three bands with the different stage presentations. It was just a perfect night. It was so fun. I just had the best time that night, and it was in the main room at First Avenue, which is like one of my favorite places to play.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely very high on my all-time favorite show list.
Did you ever see the clip of him doing it for Ozzy?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that must have been like the highlight of his life.
Oh my God! Can
Incredible,
you imagine?
right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that several times.
Yeah.
There's Brooklyn.
So yeah, you're playing in Brooklyn, and is this you saying this is like a sort of an anniversary show for the early albums? Kind of missed some landmarks during the pandemic?
Yeah. Yep. So we're gonna play everything off Rise of the Mutants, which is it's an EP, so
Yeah.
4 songs.
Great.
Songs off If We Had Brains, and even Wake Up Screaming too.
Oh,
And
sweet.
then some things off the new album, but yeah, kind of a special set with the focusing on the combat years.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we'll spread it out, play stuff from other eras too. But
Do you know any of these other bands? Because I have never heard of any of these other bands.
oh yeah, Blood Feast.
Yeah, Blood Feast. Cool. I
Yeah,
gotta check them out.
Deceased. Oh yeah.
Do you have a schedule for
You've
this
never
yet?
heard of The Accused?
Oh, wait, they're playing? Oh,
they're
they're playing the other day though. I
yeah,
don't think
they're
I'll be
playing
there
on
on Friday.
Yeah, Martha Splatterhead and the.
Are you gonna be there Friday?
Well, we fly in late Friday.
Yeah, so probably not.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to I know originally Savage Master was gonna play this show, but I guess they had to drop off.
Yeah.
I
they
saw
were-
them with Guar a couple years ago. They were really great.
Yeah. I've been wanting to see them for a long time and play with them. Adam, who's in the band, he was in a band called Hookers and Brothers of Conquest.
Okay.
And so I've been aware of him for a long time, and we kind of chat back and forth a little bit, like Dukey and I did here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, they were
so I've
great.
been aware of Savage Master, and I like them, and I love what they're doing. So I was excited to play with them and see them. You know,
Yeah,
live.
me too. I was like, oh my God. I mean, because, you know, this isn't a cheap show. So if you get at least 2 bands that you know you're going to love, that's awesome. But I'm sure Blood Feast looks great by the name alone. I mean,
oh, they're amazing. Yeah.
And we're supposed to get an interview with Jimmy Maslin for the documentary, and he owns all the Herschel Gordon Lewis movies, and he produced Blood Diner. Blood Diner, my recommendation was written by Dukey as intended to be a sequel to Blood Feast, the Herschel Gordon Lewis movie.
Oh.
So there you go.
Nice.
And then, of course, do you know anything about the Brooklyn Monarch? Because I've never been there.
I don't know anything about it. I've never been there either.
I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out together.
Yeah. And of course, we got to promote your newest album, right?
The Great Hereafter, yeah. That was written during the COVID lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And released during it, it come out last year?
Yeah, well, we did an early special release for Krampus, for Krampusnacht, but it didn't officially come out until 2021 when the distributors took it in February 2021. So, but we had it in December, so we had a little special early release for people that follow us closely.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, since the revival of the band, you've kind of like gotten back to your roots a little bit, and it's almost like been full circle. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And people have come back to the band, right?
Well, Aaron is the drummer, and Aaron was the drummer back in Wake Up Screaming. He's come back in the band.
That's awesome.
Court's been back in the band for a long time.
Yeah.
Eric passed away.
Yeah,
so,
I have a pic of that somewhere.
One of the commemorative pics.
Yeah, I don't remember which album it's in. It's in one of these CDs somewhere.
You have a lot of different stuff, man.
Yeah, man, I've been there it is. R.I.P. Eric.
Yeah. So, but Court's the
That's in
original
my 30 years and rising.
Oh, is that the CD version?
Yeah, 46 of 100 it says.
Yeah, that's our blood. We put blood in the ink, like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. I have your blood right here.
You do. Some of the DNA.
And then there's also this one, The Mutants Rise Again.
Oh yeah, that was released through Horror Records out of Denmark. And they did a picture
kind of a recreation of the original, right?
Yeah,
of sorts.
There's a picture disc of that too that was released after the regular vinyl version.
Oh, this one's a limited edition. Oh, this is like a kind of a splatter type of one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
65 of 666, man. I almost had 66 of 666.
Oh, you were so close.
So close. That's all right. I'll take it. Well, thank you for being here and spending your evening with me.
Well, it was amazing talking to you.
Is there anything I missed that you want to, throw out to the people?
Everything.
It's pretty extensive, right?
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's you've got everything I've got.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things I didn't show here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had that Jersey footage. I never had seen that before when you brought it up to me. And yeah, so that.
Yeah, I digitized it the other day, so I can send it to you if you want. It's it's only like 20 minutes or so, but.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, we'll figure out what's going on at the Monarch.
Yes, keep me in the loop because I want to be there. I'm definitely. It's not sold out, is it? You didn't hear anything about that?
I don't know. I don't think it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't know until I roll into town what the hell's going on.
Cool. Yeah, because I gotta get my ticket. I've been slacking on that.
Well, let me talk to him and we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Because if you're gonna come and film,
I'd love to.
And we're good with it. So yeah.
All right.
I'll talk to you in the coming days. Because
Great.
I've got to talk to him about all the logistics. Somebody's picking us up at the airport, and
Yeah.
there's a hotel provided and stuff. So I've got to get all that info and talk to him again. So I will definitely bring it up to him.
Cool. Keep me in the loop. Have a good night, and I think I'll close the show out with some. I have to play shock rock, so I'm gonna play a version of shock rock, and you can get going if you need to get going. I'm gonna end it with that, and then a couple of ads for myself, and
All
then
right.
I want to bid everyone a good night.
Good night.
And
Thank you.
we gotta play some shock rock. Yeah.
Shock rock. Thanks for having me, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, next week.
All right.
All right.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Kevin. Bye, everybody.
Wow. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Lindsey from shock rock band Impaler, founded in 1983. That's before Green Jelly, I believe, before Guar, before Haunted Garage. There was Impaler. Thank you again for being on the show, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. Maybe I can convince him to be on my Phantom show and talk about some Phantom of the Opera stuff. I am going to leave you with some ads for myself. Usually I do this in the middle of the show, but I was so engrossed in the conversation today that I didn't even have time to. First I gotta tell you about upcoming VonPods. Welcome to the VonPod. You are here today, Thursday, June 9th. We just had Bill Lindsey from Impaler, but next week, I wish I asked him about this on the air. Another legend to at least me, and hopefully you at some, maybe in the future you will become a legend to you. Huge for me, Maximum Bob from the Deli Creeps. And you would know them as the band that launched the career of Buckethead. But oh my God, they were, I guess, like another contemporary band around the early 90s, late 80s. It's like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre on stage. Just wild. There's nothing like them. I'm so excited to talk to Maximum Bob next week on the show. Thursday, June 16th, Maximum Bob, and of course his newer band, the kind of like a spiritual successor to the Deli Creeps, the Stockyard Skinners. That's kind of what he's been doing the last few years. And then coming up the week after, June 23rd, Cut Like This from New York. I've known several of these members for many, many years now. And this is their newer project, Cut Like This. Monster rock, kind of industrial tinged monster rock. We're going to talk about some monsters, I'm sure. And then Thursday, June 30th, the Destruct Principle. I mean, this is just some scary shit, right? I'm excited to talk to some scary people on this VonPod. And now, a word from our sponsors.
VonEsper Studios is a multimedia production company in the New York City area specializing in capturing your moments in the forms of audio, video, and photography content. VonEsper Studios Music is the audio production and songwriting division that can create the perfect song for your needs. This is an example of just that. Need a jingle to make you tingle? VonEsper Studios Music is ready to write the hits you need for your project. If you are a singer, performer, business owner, or podcast host, you need great tunes to entice your audience. Or maybe you just need a theme song for yourself. VonEsper Studios is ready to create something to suit your needs. VonEsper Studios is ready to score your car commercial.
That's right. You may know me as a documentarian for the life and slimes of Dukey Flyswatter, but music is my first passion, and you're going to be hearing a lot about that coming soon from me, because now that the campaign for the documentary is over, I'm going to be shifting some focus back to finishing my albums. I have 3 albums that I started during the pandemic, and one of them is almost ready to go. And you're gonna see a promo for it right now.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to my pity party. Everyone's invited. Celebrate your misery. Apart but hits. I'm writing hits. Recording hits. I'm making hits. And you don't wanna miss it.
Comment below! Comment below! Comment below!
Speaking of music, I do have a recommendation. You know, I was going to ask Bill if he had any recommendations, anything he's been into lately. We got some cult movie recommendations from him, though, so I will consider that. My recommendation this week is the new fucking Gwar album, The New Dark Ages, is incredible. I can't get over how good this album is. I think this might be their best album ever, and that's coming from someone who's a hardcore Gwar fan since 1995 about. Gotta check out the new album. It simultaneously doesn't sound like any other Gwar album, but also fits in perfectly with their catalog. It's all the elements that I love that created, especially that those 90s albums like This Toilet Earth. It's all the same elements, just stirred up a little bit differently. The songwriting is both dissonant and poppy and catchy and heavy as fuck. And there's if you like Hellstorm, Lizzie Hale is even on one of these songs. It gets really experimental. It kind of goes everywhere at once, but it's still, I don't even know what to say. Go listen to it right now. I am excited also because I am going to see the tour that they're on right now on Saturday in 2 days. If you are going to New Jersey to see Gwar, hit me up and I'll find you in the pit. And that's all I got for you this week. Next week, don't forget, tune in for the Deli Creeps. Come in, ask some questions live in the chat. Let's close it out with, what did I not play that I clipped out for Impaler? Here's one last Impaler clip. I believe this is the last music video they made so far. This is The Last Ride, and this is the last thing you're gonna see on the show. Good night.